What's up, everybody? It's IBN Yeezus. I really need to go back to IBS Yeezus. Um, Matter of
Rebranding's a
fact,
mother.
yeah, who? I feel like that should have been something that went through like a chain. I feel like that was a. I didn't have any input on that. It affects my name, which affects my brand. IBN Yeezus doesn't sound as good as IBS Yeezus.
No, it
Matter of
doesn't have the
fact,
same flow
hey,
with the
you know
S.
what? You know what? I'm gonna do it live on air. Changing it. IBA. So
He went to
we are,
Wyoming to get that, guys.
yeah, we are here for the college football pregame show. Getting it in before Big Noon kickoff because I know a lot of people love Big Noon kickoff and college game day. So we look forward to the expert opinions of Jack Harlow and those types of people. um, Last night was kind of cool, except for this guy got the
Uh,
trolls on. Except for
Big Noon
my
Ben.
Huskies, man. God darn it, that sucks.
So much for Big Penix energy, huh?
Yeah, he had ED yesterday. Uh, but I mean, from a gambling aspect, that's just how those games go. It's such a trap, and I hate it. I hate it. Vegas does it every time. Yeah. Jeff told me. I knew that too, though. I done fell for that back in the day. Let me take y'all down memory lane real quick. So back in the day when I first started gambling, Corey and Jeff used to sponsor me because I didn't have any money, and so they was like, "Yeah, you want to bet? Here's like $50. Go play around with it." And I would always put like $50 on the longest odds of all time, and so I think they did it like twice, and they was like, "Look, bro, you gotta do your own thing, man. You costing too much." And so like there was I can't remember the specific game, but I think it might have been Stanford USC, and USC I think was hosting, or no, USC was visiting Stanford, and it probably was like Christian McCaffrey's coming out party, but I'll never forget.
Oh,
Like, yeah, they were like 10-point
oh,
favorites and Stanford just dragged them, man. Like
the last
absolutely
great
dragged them.
Stanford team.
Yeah, you got to be
Oh,
careful with these midweek, or not even midweek. Any game before Saturday when it comes to college football, it just
makes no
favors the home.
sense.
It favors the home team so much, especially if teams are coming off big wins. Yesterday, I faded Middle Tennessee State because they just like beating Miami was a big deal for them, and so I just figured UTSA is a good team. I'll lay the points with the road dog there, but I mean with the road favorite there. But typically in those spots, you don't play Washington, man. I couldn't fade my boys. Yes, I put a little bit on. I put a lot. I put a ton on the over. What was the game? God, I'm drawing a blank. I'm getting old like Ben. I put a ton on the over in the Houston Tulane game. That was a failure,
Wait, you gonna be asking about CDs next?
bro. I didn't know that Tulane's quarterback got scratched. Their starter got scratched like maybe 20 minutes before kickoff. Then the backup comes in, does one drive. The second stringer does one drive and gets hurt. So then they're on their third string quarterback. I'm still trying to figure out what's going on with Dana and Houston, why they just look so terrible. The quarterback's been there for 6 years.
What they got? Stetson Bennett's brother.
Yeah, I don't understand. And then
Stetson Bennett's twin brother.
he has the audacity to get mad because he wasn't in anybody's preseason polls. I'm like, bro, you suck. If you're in college football and you're a quarterback or you're any collegiate player who's been in any kind of system, this is basketball, football. If you've been in that system for 4 to 5 years and you don't stand out, you're not like
You're trash.
yeah, like
You're
come on,
trash.
man.
Like, if
So
you're there longer than it takes to get the actual degree, if
yeah,
you're in grad school by time you are playing, and you are only a starter by time you are getting your freaking law degree, you're trash. I'm
it's,
sorry.
it's awful.
You're not really, as to quote Mr. Coach 30, ain't really an athlete, mom's too big, usually you piss down your leg.
But yeah, last week Did we have any wild upsets last week? Not any that I didn't expect, except for
we had
shout out to
Kansas.
JMU. JMU was down 28-3, came back
Oh,
and won.
JMU, the App State, the Falcons.
Yeah,
The
they put
Falcons'
balls on the
energy
board.
wafted up 85 and got to them.
They didn't score in the second half, man. That's impressive.
They literally pulled an Atlanta Falcons.
I mean, it was impressive. I'm not gonna lie. I actually watched the last 3 possessions.
You know what's wild? JMU has a legitimate shot to win the Sun Belt, and they're not even bowl eligible because of the transition.
Yeah.
They may go 10-2.
They're a good
really
team,
good.
man.
They're
a good team. Like when it was announced that they were going to be moving up, I was excited because I was like, they're actually good, and it's close enough that I can drive down there and watch some games. Like, I love Sunbelt. I wouldn't mind watching a Sunbelt game at all, especially if it's on like the midweek Sunbelt games.
Oof.
Yeah.
Sunbelt football. Sunbelt football it's pretty much what SEC football is before the money kicked in.
Yeah, it's fun to me.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and they still have a lot of talent in those programs. Like South Alabama will run probably a lot of our favorite teams a fade right now.
They're pretty tough.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, I don't want Florida playing.
I just like the
South
exposure,
Alabama.
man. I like the exposure that it gives the teams. Just like Mac's been doing this thing. Matter of fact, the 3 people that are looking right now, if you're gambling, take a lot of the overs in the Mac games today. Check the weather first, but as long as it's not raining, shoot at some of those overs. They're kind of low, especially the Northern Illinois and Ball State game. I think that's pretty low. I think it's like 59-60. It should probably be like 64. But they're concerned because Rocky Lombardi might not play NIU's quarterback. But I mean, even with the backup, they should still get at least 21. And I know Ball State can score. So let's get into this week's games. First game up, number 7 Kentucky visiting number 14 Ole Miss. Ole Miss favored by 6.5. The over-unders at 54.5. Not usually excited for SEC games, but I kind of want to see this one.
I think this is the actual indicator of how good Kentucky is, because they didn't look really impressive in a couple of their wins, and honestly, I know we're gonna fade Florida for that loss, but that was more of a Florida gave them that game being just dumb as bricks more than Kentucky was beating them. Like, you throw a pick 6 on in your own territory, and then another pick in your territory, not taking care of the ball. Florida gave them that game.
Florida's stupid. Napier's stupid. I mean, I can give some of that. I can see some of that, like where you could have that perspective that Florida gave it to them. But at the end of the day,
they weren't doing anything other until Florida like literally pissed down their leg, got a puddle of piss on their shoes. Like, if Florida just ran the ball and more or less played conservatively and had just a half a bit more confidence and keep them kicking field goals, it's probably a Florida win 17-13, and we're like, oh, that was ugly.
So it's a style thing for me. Kentucky's the ground and pound, physical team, slow pace. Ole Miss is more stout on defense than in years past, but they play with tempo. They're more modernized. They spread people out. They believe in working fast, quick, putting up points.
They're like Tennessee, who can't read.
Yeah. So this is the first time in 60 years, I think, is what I saw, that both teams have been ranked when they play each other. I'm leaning to Kentucky covering. I kind of want to put Ole Miss on upset alert, but I'm not sure if.
Wait, wouldn't it be Kentucky or Ole Miss's favorite?
No, Ole Miss's favorite. Yeah.
I'm sorry, my bad. I looked at that wrong.
Yeah,
this is what happens when y'all get me doing things in the morning.
Yeah. So I'm leaning. I'm definitely taking if I got to buy it up to a touchdown, I will. I don't foresee Kentucky losing by more than a touchdown, but I also want to lean to putting Ole Miss on upset alert. It's probably it'd be like a last minute call for me as far as whether or not I'll put money line on Kentucky. I mean, I've put money line on 2-to-1s pretty much every week anyway. They kind of fit the bill here. I just think I don't know why it's 6.5. Honestly, I think stylistically, Kentucky's defense can hang with Ole Miss's offense, and then if Kentucky gets a turnover, or if they get ahead and they start running the ball effectively, it might put Ole Miss in a little bit of a panic and create some more mistakes. So, as you alluded to, Kentucky's thrived off people making mistakes.
Yeah.
Can Ole Miss protect the ball? Because that'll be an indicator too on whether or not Kentucky can pull this off.
I'll have a lot of confidence in Ole Miss if they can get through the first 3 quarters without a big turnover.
Yeah, so we'll see. But it should be an interesting game. Like I said, stylistically, you got the slower paced, more physical Kentucky against the faster paced Ole Miss.
Wait, isn't Christian Rodriguez back this week?
Rodriguez is back.
Never mind. This might get a little more interesting.
Yeah. If Ole Miss scores early, is KU built to come back from 10+ points? They did it already. So I'll tell you this. I think in college football, I don't think 10 is a lot. If you get down in college football early.
Honestly, 20 isn't either.
I've seen teams come back by running the ball effectively down more than 2 scores in the fourth quarter. It just requires you to go faster, which Kentucky doesn't seem like they want to do. So I think they could come back down 10. Now, if it's like 17 and we're talking with like 3 minutes left in the third quarter type situation, then I would be a little bit more concerned because they're going to need turnovers, I think, to help push this over the edge. So can they create turnovers? Yeah, can they create turnovers too? That's another thing that I think we have to give Kentucky some credit for, is that they have created some turnovers as well. So yeah, my lean is Kentucky to cover for sure. Money line, I'm not sure yet. Probably be like a last minute play for me. Number 4, Oklahoma going into TCU. TCU is the 5.5 point underdog as of the start of the show. Over under 69.5. If you are wondering where we get the lines from, mybookie.ag is where we get the lines from. What's your take on the Oklahoma TCU game, Patrick?
I want to see if Sonny Dykes' TCU offense can make Oklahoma hurt, because that defense did not look competent last week. It looked like they were just so focused on Deuce that Adrian Martinez had their way with them, and that is not something we've said aloud or seen in his Nebraska years, but he had his way with Oklahoma, man. And like, I know Dylan Gabriel's a good quarterback, but I was just really wasn't impressed with Oklahoma's offense. Granted, I know Kansas State is one of those teams that just has a special place in their heart just to punch Oklahoma in the throat in the last like 5-6 years.
Mm-hmm.
But I can see TCU covering.
So fun fact. Let me look it up real quick. There's a trend going on with teams who've won big games, and the next week when they play, because I actually applied it last night with Middle Tennessee State. I just want to make sure I read it right here. All right. Old Dominion upset Virginia Tech, then lost to ECU. Marshall upset Notre Dame, then lost to Bowling Green. Georgia Southern upset Nebraska, then lost to UAB. Tulane upset Kansas State, then lost to Southern Mississippi. It depends on how you define TCU's win last week against SMU. That was a pretty emotional game. Hey, look, man, I'm going off of the Action Sports, man. It said Oklahoma was number 4. I might have did that wrong, actually. You're right.
Yeah, I think they're like 12th.
My bad. Hey, look, mistakes happen, as you can see behind me there is a distraction, and I was trying to do that while I was working with him. So yes, correct.
OU's 18 on ESPN.
Oh my gosh! Let's not offend our one Michigan fan here with our typo.
They finished fourth one time.
We'll make
they
sure
finished
we get
fourth
it.
one time.
We'll make sure we get it right. Sorry, Michigan. It's corrected. There you go. I mean, ESPN makes mistakes all the time, and you don't say anything to them, Akeem. But you was on here, huh? Yeah, all right. Sorry, y'all gonna lose. No, I'm just playing. I don't want to bet a dog after an emotional like game. Even though you would think they get up for Oklahoma too. Like, I don't think that'll be the issue. The issue is like, how do you come off that high? Like, that was a big game for Sonny. That was a big game for TCU. Like,
yeah, it was.
Yeah, that's a big game. And then they come back home, and you're still on that high. Like, you can look at it two ways. You can look at it where they carry that momentum into the Oklahoma game, or you can look at it like, look, Oklahoma. If we put this on paper, Oklahoma is more talented. They're the better program, the better team, and they're coming off a loss. They're going to be extra fired up to make a statement and right the ship. 5.5 isn't a lot. It's not like TCU has defense.
Yeah. Well, neither one of them do, to be honest with you.
But I mean, Sonny Dykes ain't known to be beating up on Oklahoma teams either. So, just saying, it's a game where I think you kind of have to look a little bit deeper than what you expect on the surface. Like, it's got a little bit of a trap game. But I will tell you this, that the build up to that SMU game was like really, really hype. I know it's not something like we as general college fans would say would be like really hype, but you go to the message boards, you look at the like media.
His return home.
Yeah, it was Sonny Dykes coming back home. A big deal for him. SMU barely lost to TCU last year, which was also in the back of everybody's minds. And that stadium was pretty hostile, man. Like, it was a good atmosphere. So
the Iron Skill game's a big rivalry for these two.
Yeah, I think they I wouldn't say they would say it's more important, but I think they put extra focus on it more so than they would have in years past, and that's why they were able to overcome. So Oklahoma coming in, I think Oklahoma wins by at least a touchdown. I like it.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. I'll be disappointed if they don't, and that's even with me trolling Dalton. If they lose this game, I definitely don't want to hear anything about Brent Venables for a while.
I mean, I can see them messing another one up because it's early, like, first year coach issues, getting the kinks out.
And this man been a coordinator for 35 years. He should be fine.
That's one reason they ain't giving him the head coaching job just yet. They treated him like white saltine Bieniemy.
Yeah.
He said, "You ain't getting the head coaching job."
Yeah, no, I'm for real. Like, I think, coming off that loss, they'll be refocused. So it shouldn't be an issue. All right, here we go, Akeem. Look, I had this one right though. I had number 4 here. I don't know what I was doing. I'm blaming Tristan though. Number 4, Michigan. Oh God, look at Michigan. They're so good. Ain't played nobody. I think this is their after this game, they would have played 1.5 teams because they played Maryland and then they played Iowa's defense. So it's 1.5 teams. Iowa's defense is getting 10.5. The over-under's at 42. Like, I don't understand what everybody's like talking about with this game. This team sucks. Iowa sucks. They can't score.
They can't
score. They only score on these sorry teams. If Michigan doesn't cover and beat these dudes, like, I don't know what I would say. This would be the most disappointing loss of Harbaugh's tenure for me personally, because I don't expect them to lose this game. The few games that he's lost or tricked it up, I was like, oh, this is about time he's due type stuff. Like, I wasn't totally shocked. But this game, I would be legit shocked.
Yeah, especially.
No.
The only thing is, this is the perfect, like you said earlier, this is like the perfect trap game scenario.
No, I mean, how though? Like, how is this a trap game? Like, in order for Iowa to beat you,
Iowa,
you have to score for Iowa for it to be a trap game.
That is possible with that defense. I will say.
JJ McCarthy could run for 2 touchdowns on his own, and that would be enough to beat this team. Like, we could take the spread. We could take the spread out the window.
All right, he could run for 2 touchdowns on his own, but you know what else could happen? Iowa can also force a scoop and score or some weird pick six.
Man, if they're in a situation where that can come into play, Harbaugh needs to resign. Like, this team sucks, man. They're really not good.
It's the half a team.
I admittedly watched 2 Iowa games this year, man, and I want to like literally pull my eyes out. It's awful offensively. Absolutely awful.
As much as I was talking that crap on here, I'm taking Michigan like by 3 scores.
Man, I'm serious. if Michigan so much as doesn't cover, I will be disappointed. If they lose, I'm definitely at every Michigan fan's neck. All them 85-year-old and up Michigan fans, I'm gonna send you to your early grave. Don't you?
Y'all gonna meet he said, y'all gonna meet royalty tonight. Y'all better say hi to the queen on the way up.
Seriously, I would be shocked. Like 18 spots dropped in poll bad. No, like not even ranked anymore. They're gonna get relegated.
Right.
Put them
y'all going to right? Who said don't even say the word playoffs. I don't even care if you're talking about the NFL, the NBA, the MLB. Don't say playoffs.
And I get it. Historically speaking, Iowa has given Michigan fits in Iowa, so they say, but this is a historically bad offense as well. Like, it literally doesn't get any worse than this. So, Texas Tech versus Kansas State. I only put this in because both teams only have 1 loss. Kansas State favored by 7.5. The over-under is 56. No, this was not a troll at Texas. It's literally they're 3-1. I felt like they deserved to be up here. Let me get Kansas State. Just
really
by like a touchdown. Yeah, I've watched the few Texas Tech games I've watched when they travel. I don't think they're as good, and I'm 100% sure that was their Super Bowl last week. So I expect them to come out flat.
Kansas State Super Bowl as well because they're doing the same.
Did you not see how Adrian Martinez played? Man, he been here before.
That is true. That is true.
It was kind of a joke, but
I mean he's been here he's been here before like forever.
They've already experienced their upset loss in Kansas State literally at home. So I highly doubt they're going to fall asleep here against a conference opponent.
I want to know, is not Kansas State, is Tulane really that good?
They're gritty, man. Their defense is actually all right.
Yeah, like, because we saw hints of this last year where they almost threw
but I can't
you in a chokehold.
I can't speak for the offense because I saw them with their 3rd-string quarterback and they still won. But Dana's trash, so that's not really. That's not. I mean, it was hard to assess the entire team, but defensively, they are, I would say, as legitimate as you could expect from their conference and their like program. It's a pretty solid defense. So I could see where they could give a team like Kansas State trouble if Kansas State not finishing drives.
Yeah, if you're not focused and you're thinking ahead to next week, probably what they were doing.
Texas Tech just doesn't play the same when they're away from home. Like, it just they get bullied a little when they're on the road. So at least that's what I saw a couple times.
Yeah, the NC State game, they got bullied off both lines.
Mm-hmm.
Really bad in that NC State game.
Jamal says take the over. I'll pass. I don't want any part of the game, honestly, unless I'm doing Kansas State spread. But check the weather. I'm telling everybody now, check the weather before you play overs, because I don't know how far the tropical storm / hurricane winds are stretching and where's the cutoff line. Kansas should be fine, obviously, but if you're touching anything East Coast over into like the Tennessee area, you might want to check the weather first. Oh, here we go. Tech had everything go right for them a week ago and still almost lost. Yes, they played Texas, so everything did go right. I'm just saying, Jamal. I said it probably won't touch Kansas. I'm just saying, just be mindful of the other games. There's 111 college football games this week.
Some are being played on Sunday.
My game of the week. Number 9, Oklahoma State versus number 16, Baylor. Baylor's favored by 2.5, over under 55.5. I don't like Oklahoma State's quarterback. I don't like Gundy. Let me get the under.
Due to certain vetting interests, we will ride Baylor and Dave Aranda's. He is on my team. Team Marco Polo ambiguity.
Oh my God, team! We don't know what y'all are for real.
Hey, y'all find out. Let Saudi Arabia mess around and lose the World Cup first 2 games. Gas prices going up. Mess with me.
Yeah, I got the under too, Jamal. Lean to Baylor, although Baylor had some shaky games, man. Some shaky games, but I feel like home field matters in the big. So
I mean, the last 3 games have been quality teams, though.
Yeah,
so a lot. It wasn't a bad loss. Like, all right, it was a loss, but it was a road loss to BYU, which I can understand. Going to Provo, they're in Provo, right? I don't know Utah. That place weird. I ain't going out there no more. Went out there one time, never again. But yeah, no, going to Utah, that's an odd one to do. They went. They were at Iowa State, right? I'm not wilding on that.
They were on the road.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Iowa State probably a little better than we give them credit for. But decent team on the road, still got a decent win. Oklahoma State, like I said, I don't trust that quarterback at all either.
Yeah, no, he turns the ball over too much.
I trust him about as much as a klepto in a store. You gotta follow him.
I'm gonna rock with Baylor here. I'll even lay the 2.5. Let's see. The game. Jamal said he had it at 19. I saw it at 17 on my bookie, but you like, it's Bama, man. You're gonna be able to get points. If you're fading Bama, you can always get more points. People are gonna bet Bama up to 100. They swear every game they play they're gonna win by 100. So I'm in a bit of a predicament. Preseason, I said that Arkansas would beat Alabama. So I got to take my points, and I got to back Bama, Arkansas money line if I said that, because I had said in the preseason this was the game that would be Bama's trap game. So we'll see. Over-unders at 61. I'm not laying it. I'm not gonna do it. I gotta go. I gotta stay with Arkansas. Look, my biggest reason for backing Arkansas is, if you look, they got Kansas in their name, so they're already ready for upsets, man. There you go, Arkansas.
I could see that, because especially with Bama, we still got to ask the question: where the receivers, Bama? Where the receiving core? Where them dudes on the outside? Like Jahmyr Gibbs, he can't be 50% of the offense. Where the rest of them dudes at?
I mean,
also, I feel like Arkansas are just really unlucky to lose last week between the doink and I don't know what the hell KJ Jefferson was doing, jumping from the 5-yard line, thinking this was Space Jam. Nickel thought his arm was going to stretch like Mike at the end of Space Jam.
He was tripping, man.
I don't know what he was doing on that, but yeah, I just feel like Arkansas was very unlucky to win that game. They should have to lose that game, but that's something they should have put them away. Got weird, but
if Bama played like they played in Texas, they will lose in Arkansas. I'll guarantee that.
Yeah, and the refs can't bail them out. 2 games in a row, 2 road games in a row.
It's not doom and gloom. They don't have the they're not showing the playmaking ability though, bro. Like it's not even about them gelling. Like when guys get the ball, the last 3 years, maybe even we probably go back 4 years. The last 4 years, Bama always had like a legitimate wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 combo. A guy that they could get the ball in space and you just sit back and let them cook. And they don't have that right now, and it shows. And it's kind of making their offense into a lame duck against elite defenses. Like you won't see it against Louisiana Monroe, but when you play at Texas or you play once they get to Georgia, even today against Arkansas, it's gonna show when you don't have the Smiths, the Waddles, the Michis. Like you need that playmaker, man. Like if you don't, JMO, like if you don't got those guys, like if you don't have that one guy you can get the ball to, let them operate in space, like it makes it difficult in today's game. Like they don't have the run game that they used to have anyway. And then the play calling, don't get me started on that. It's just not. I don't think it's a gel thing. I just think it's I just think they're not as talented, and it's hard to say that about a Bama team nowadays. But I think we just need to say it out loud. They're just not as talented. Like imagine Bama with Marvin Harrison Jr. or something like that. Like we're used to seeing an elite receiver or some kind of elite playmaker on the outside, and since they've evolved their offense, and we just don't have that this year. So it's kind of stale.
You know what's wild too? No, you look at the the top 10 of the 2023 recruiting rankings for receivers. I don't think any of them are committed to Bama this year either.
Well, they've been picking people from the wide receiver rooms. That's what I was saying. They need to play Ohio State so they can go over there and steal a receiver again. That's what they do. Like
right.
They basically play it like chess. When they beat you, they take your pieces.
They really do.
You got to watch these dudes on Bama, man. I wouldn't trust nobody. Wake Forest versus Florida State. Florida State favored by 6.5, over under 66.5.
Take the Noles and the points.
It's the first time. No, it's the second time this year because I think we talked about Louisville and Florida State. Yeah, let me get Florida State here. I'm waiting for the floor to fall out from under us. But hey, playing good football, winning football, I'm cool with it.
You're also at home in possible hurricane conditions. Always take the Florida team when there's something with hurricane conditions around, unless they're Miami. But
yeah, no, Florida State can run the ball, man.
Yeah,
I think that's going to be the key here.
Wake Forest ain't used to this.
Nah.
That field all gonna be all mushy and the air all gonna be swampy. Nope. Rain coming down a little sideways. Nope. Florida State.
Iowa State versus Kansas. The Kansas, not our Kansas, but Kansas. Kansas getting 3.5 at home, over under 58.5. You know, I'm
rock freaking shock.
When do I get off this boat though? At
some point, it's not going to be this week. You can get off this boat when they play Kansas State or like Baylor, but I wouldn't get off it this week.
Florida State ain't worried about hurricanes since 2001, man. We good. When do we get off of this, man?
Certainly not when they play Texas.
Yeah, definitely not when they play Texas.
Take the over and the points and everything with Kansas that game. Lay it with them. I
gotta lay it, and I gotta play a money line too, man.
Kansas, that quarterback has been
good. I need to go back and look at like do like an actual unit count of how many units I've won off of Kansas just by playing them outright money line this year, because they've only been favored one game, and that was against Duke.
But they've also been beating some solid teams. It's not like they've just been beating some cheeks.
They're well coached. They're a well coached team, man.
That quarterback is a dog. Like I like that quarterback a lot.
I don't like that draw you just had when you said dog. It's not like you had wanted to put a little on the end of it or something. Gotta watch you, bro.
Napier.
I told you, gotta watch you.
Hey, let us lose to Missouri. There'll be an towards Napier.
If you lose to Missouri, he should be fired too. People need to
stay away.
Look, I'm telling you right now, if Harbaugh loses to Iowa, and if Napier loses to Missouri, they need to get the Herm Edwards treatment, bro. You don't get to go back to the locker room.
What happened to our last coach when he lost to Missouri? That's the game that got him fired.
I think he wanted to get fired though.
He did because that's a whole another conversation.
Look, you can always tell when the King's still here, man. He like Candyman from Michigan. You say Michigan 3 times, he appeared, let you know you're wrong. Relax, bro. Relax. It was actually a positive thing. Kansas. Let me get him out right. I'm not gonna get off the ship just yet. Another game that's interesting, number 17, Texas A&M versus Mississippi State. This line has moved up to 4 as of the start of the podcast. Over-unders at 46. This is typically when we see the Pirate just lose interest.
I have one question on Mississippi State.
I don't want to bet the Aggies, but go ahead.
All right, they should have beaten LSU. How many times watching that game do we see a receiver drop the ball? Or just a wide open play for them where a receiver or their quarterback just miss it. Like they let LSU off the hook so bad.
Yeah.
Can they correct?
It was pretty bad.
It was bad. Like there was,
and they were all third down conversions.
They were third down conversions, and they were plays that was like that dude was open to like either go another 10 yards or something. Like LSU wasn't playing that good to beat them. Mississippi State literally just butterfingered this whole game away. Does that get righted this week? Because it's not going to take as much offense to beat A&M because A&M ain't moving that ball.
I don't know.
Because you can't let teams, if you have any aspirations, you just can't let people off the hook like that.
Can A&M's quarterback run?
It's Max Johnson, kinda, but not.
That's what gave him fits last time.
I mean, but Jaden Daniels is Jaden Daniels, but Max Johnson, he can move a little bit, but he's.
I'm just saying, if Max can run, let me get the Aggies to cover.
He can probably get at most like 50 yards a game, but he ain't like I've seen him move a bit, but it's not like he's like as they call the saltine quarterbacks, sneaky athletic. He ain't one of them. You know how they call like when Joe Burrow scramble, he's sneaky athletic. He ain't that.
I'm leaning. Like I said, I'm gonna do Aggies. I'm even gonna try Aggies money line.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't think the big win, the emotional win over a rival is gonna? Because I have no faith in the Aggies this year, or they can be caught looking ahead. Because don't they have Bama next week?
They do have Bama next week. Yep, they could be looking ahead. That's actually true. That's weird to say that the Aggies would be in the spot to be a team that would get dismissed.
So yeah, because Texas A&M got a fade coming with them next week.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't care what we said about Alabama's receivers, they gonna figure something out because a fade is coming A&M's way.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's speed this up real quick. I just noticed that my son was all in my phone this morning, videotaping me while I was asleep. I'm gonna beat him up. He's such a troll. Cincinnati versus Tulsa. Tulsa's getting 10, over under 58. A lot of people saying take the over. I'm not sure about that, but I do want my points with Tulsa, and I'm putting Cincinnati on upset alert for sure.
Tulsa is a gritty team. They have good defense, and Cincinnati's quarterback looks a little boo-boo cheeks against a decent defense, i.e. that Arkansas game. Second half of that, he looked real funny in the light. Looking like great value Desmond Ridder out there.
Yeah. I don't like Cincy. And they've not covered in their last, I think they're 1-6 in their last 7 road games against the spread.
Oof.
So another reason to kind of consider fading them here.
I mean, they lost a lot of talent. You know, G5 teams, they don't replace it as fast. Well, most teams don't. They're not Bama. They're not Bama. They're not Ohio State. Not Georgia. They don't replace talent that fast.
And then the last game, because, well, there's not really any games this evening. Number 10, NC State versus number 5, Clemson. Over under is 45. The spread is 7. I ain't gonna lie, I considered laying it.
This one of them games that NC State, I don't know how I feel, because NC State's ranked with expectations, but at the same time, when they're a dog, that's when they come up and slap you in the throat. And Clemson's secondary looked like trash last week.
Yeah, but are they really gonna have to? Are they really gonna have to like go up against a formidable passing team?
I mean, Leary's in that Hartman vein. He's a very good quarterback. He will sling it, but I think he's better at taking care of the ball than Hartman is. Also, defensive line on NC State's a lot tougher than Wake's. NC State's just a more physical team. Now, we'll say this. NC State ain't really ran the ball too well this year.
They haven't, but I'm just trying to figure out what would be what's the angle for taking NC State other than Clemson's offense might show its head, the real Clemson offense.
Can Clemson run really well? Because this is going to be one of those games in the weather where, now that I think about it, passing is not going to matter as much. It's who can put up 200, 210, 250 on the ground.
Well, if that's the case, then I'm definitely going with Clemson.
Yeah, no, I just talked myself out of North Carolina State because them fools can't run.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I just talked myself out of that. Whoops. Nope, sorry, Wolfpack. It's all right. Y'all beat another team when y'all are unranked next year and have no expectations.
All right. So, quick recap. My upset alerts. Obviously, Tulsa being my favorite upset alert. And then, I think I'm going to put Kentucky as my second favorite upset alert. Actually, yeah. And then Arkansas, because I'm committed, man. I said it in the preseason. I can't back out now.
I mean, is top to bottom, like, even Arkansas might be a better team than Texas. And I don't say might, I mean they are. And on the road, a little tougher on them lines and them trenches. Bama really can't be sloppy. This one, Bama really can't be sloppy.
Yeah, now they gotta play it honest.
Because I know Texas got the skill players and all that, but trenches Arkansas can win that fight. And especially on the road they got the trenches to go up against. Like, if Bama plays sloppy, they got the trenches for that.
Yeah, because I mean that's what you're gonna need to win that game. That's where it's gonna be won at, is in the trenches.
And also, Bryce don't push that ball down the field like he.
Look, man. I said it in the preseason. I'm committed. I gotta stick to it. I circled this game as the game that Bama would potentially lose. So,
I mean, every team's got that one game that they might screw up.
Yeah,
every team's got that one. We say, hey, just because Bama loses to Arkansas does not mean they won't go into the playoffs. Okay.
Oh yeah, if they lose to Arkansas, they'll just drop a spot. It's fine. That's how it always is.
They'll be third until they blow the lights out of A&M.
Yeah.
Never
Bet with Ben. Bet with Ben. All right, as y'all can see, Ben Garcia has put his name in the fold of people that you should bet with. You could definitely bet with Tristan if you haven't. He doesn't do college football that much, but he's all about NFL. We will see you guys next week. Sorry we didn't get around to covering the Florida game, but I'm sure you guys will find a way to trick it up.
Hey, I ain't talking about no Eastern Michigan, no hurricane right now. Field all flood. Bro, we still got to clear the snakes and the alligators off the field. You know the thing flooded right now.
All right, man. I'll catch you next week.
All right.